Slow burn tension pining, yes. Hi everyone, my name is Kayla. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be giving you guys a guide to the underrated genre of young adult romance books. So in the spirit of Valentine's Day coming up, I just wanted to talk about young adult romance in general because I think it's a genre that is so overlooked, especially with the new wave of new adults coming in on TikTok, and new readers often just go straight to those, and they overlook these really great books that are amazing for getting people to start to read and getting people to love reading. So I'm just gonna go over a few books that I think are really great to start off, and if you want more options for young adult, then this would also be a good video for that. I'm basically just going to go through all of the young adult books that I've read and I really love, and also some young adult books that I am reading or are planning to read, and hopefully you can find one that you really like and can also read as well. So I have my notes handy and we're just gonna get started. I really love young adult romance because I think with the age range, it's obviously not going to be a spicy book, and because of that, the author has to take extra efforts to make it a romance, and so it's more about the actual interactions and relationships with the two characters, and you get some really romantic scenes and gestures because it's not much about the physicality of these, characters and these relationships. It has to do more with the emotional bond, and I just feel like the relationships in these books are just so much stronger. So this video is going to be organized mostly by tropes, but I first want to highlight the books that I think are the go-to. You have to read these young adult books if you're looking to get into YA, because they are just the pinnacle of what YA encapsulates, and you should read it like right now. The first book I want to talk about is Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. I already talked a little bit about it in my 2022 ranking video, and I put it on the Six of Crows superiority tier because it is just that good. So the tropes are enemies to lovers, but also fake dating. Liz and Wes are neighbors, and they've always kind of butted heads as they grow up, and when Liz's old crush comes back into town, then Wes has to help her kind of get his attention, but in that process they start to, bond. I just think it is written so well, and the characters are so charismatic. It is a rom-com in book form. Oh my god, I can't even talk about it because it's so good. Like, it's literally just perfect. It's exactly what you would want in a lighthearted romance book. They're young and they're in high school, and they just want to fall in love, and it's so cute. There's Taylor Swift references in here. Liz is literally like, Liz is one of us. She's a book girly, she's a rom-com girly, she is in love with love, and everything about this is so amazing. The sequel is coming out next year, and it's just perfect, and you need to read it. Next, I want to highlight Not Here to Be Liked. I don't have it with me right now, but this book struck me in the heart. Eliza, the main character, and Len, the male lead, both work for the school's newspaper, and when it was time to elect the next year's editor-in-chief, he gets the position and not her, when it should have been her. She has been, a part of the staff for years and years and works so hard, whereas Len, obviously, he hasn't put in that much work. And Eliza's article pointing out the sexism within the newspaper staff and within other school organizations gets published, and she sort of starts this whole movement within her school. Within the staff, they get assigned to a project together and they have to work alongside each other, and that's kind of where the rivals to lovers comes in. But at the same time, the chemistry between Eliza and Len is just off the charts, and I think Len is a really, really great foil to Eliza's character. And I think just overall, the book does a really, really great job of tackling very prevalent issues, especially among, teenagers and young adults when it comes to identity and representation and community. And Eliza is Chinese Vietnamese American, I believe, and Len is Japanese American. So it is really, really great Asian American representation, I think. And also just her talking about wanting to pursue a career that's not necessarily in line with a lot of what immigrant parents want for their kids was just so, it was so good to read that. And another just random one, but I think everyone should read The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. It is love at first sight, which I know not a lot of people like. It has to be one of my favorite young adults. I think it's one of the books that definitely changed reading for me. And honestly, just Nicola Yoon is such an amazing author, and the writing of The Sun Is Also a Star is some of the best contemporary literature I've read, just in writing style. The way she writes about fate and destiny and how she does like the chapter splits and the POVs, and it's just so amazingly done. And I just think that the movie does not do it justice because the beauty of the book is in the way that it's written, and it just does not translate onto screen. Natasha and her family are about to be deported, and she meets Daniel in the city in New York, and throughout the day they try to prevent her family from being deported, and they just go on a bunch of adventures together and fall in love, and it's right place, wrong time, right place, right person, wrong time, not enough time, and it's beautiful. Like, it's just a beautiful piece of work. And now we're just going to categorize by tropes. First off, we're gonna do academic rivals to lovers or enemies to lovers, very generally. First is Today, Tonight, Tomorrow. It is really, really big on TikTok, and if you like Ben and Davy from Never Have I Ever, you would really, really love this book. Rowan and Neil, who have been academic rivals since forever, and they are graduating soon, and in their senior assassin game, they sort of partner up so they could take everyone out, and within that they bond and figure out that they have more in common than they think, and they shouldn't have been spending all this time kind of, pitting themselves against each other. I will say, Neil is not my favorite male lead in the entire world, but he grows on you. Just stick with it. I promise it gets better, and his confession will make it all worth it. That's another thing about young adult romance. I think the confessions in young adult are just so much better. They hit so much harder, and that's the case for Today, Tonight, Tomorrow. Again, if you like academic rivals to lovers, I know a lot of people do, enemies to lovers, this is the academic rivals to lovers book. You have to read it. And obviously, Not Here to Be Like would go under academic rivals to lovers. I also forgot to mention Talia Hibbert's new book, Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute. I think that's academic rivalry, enemies to lovers. I haven't read it yet because it just came out, but I'm really excited for it because I love the Brown Sisters trilogy. And then another category of enemies to lovers is the special category of feuding family restaurants, star-crossed lovers, Romeo and Juliet, forbidden romance sort of beat. And that's very specific, but I have two books that fit into that category. First one is Tweet Cute. Now this book, I will say, is very YA. The writing is very cheesy and a little bit cringy, but in a way that's very, very charming. Pepper and Jack, again, cheesy, because they're fighting over grilled cheese recipes. Get it? Okay, anyways, so Pepper and Jack, their families have two different restaurants, and there's this whole situation of one stealing the other's recipe, etc., and they go into a Twitter war, and their families become rivals over Twitter, and it's like this whole social media sort of situation. And they go to the same school though, and then Jack is on the diving team, Pepper's on the swim team, and I love that sort of dynamic. And so it's like a very much like rivals situation. It's just really cute, and it's really lighthearted and a very easy read. I think it goes by incredibly quickly. If you want a social media Twitter war, then this is the book for you. The next book in this feuding family restaurant category is A Pho Love Story. So Lin and Bao's families own rival pho restaurants across the street from each other, and they're always competing with each other, and so Lin and Bao never really got to talk. They also work for the newspaper, I think, and so they get partnered up to do sort of she draws and then he writes situation. It's a little bit like Not Here to Be Liked, I will say. Through that sort of forced proximity, they bond and get to know each other a lot more and realize again that they are more similar than they previously thought. A Pho Love Story really tackles the expectations of immigrant parents. Lin wants to pursue a career in drawing, in art, but her family, her parents, obviously, that's not the ideal career for her. I love this book because of the Southeast Asian representation, and it's just, it's good. Some Girls Do is a queer love story. I've not finished it yet. I'm only on the first few pages, but I've been told that it's an opposites attract situation. Morgan has already come out and Ruby hasn't, and so I think it is their own journeys together of discovering and affirming their sexualities. I'm really excited to read this too, especially for Valentine's Day. I want to mention The Holiday Switch, which is a good holiday romance. I know the holiday season just passed, but I will recommend it for Filipino representation, and it's small town, forced proximity, opposites attracts as well. So Lila is from this small town in New York, and then Teddy is from California, and he's visiting his aunt, and they have to work together at his aunt's holiday store, and so they are forced to work together even though they are very different personalities. And I think we can also put in My Mechanical Romance into this category. It's more of an opposites attract, however, so there's that. I also have not read this book. It's on my TBR, and so I cannot contest to like how good it is, how well written it is, but I've heard good things about it, and it's also by the author of The Atlas Six. So if you like her work, then this is another work you could try reading. Next, we'll go into fake dating. I think that's a very common trope amongst YA, but I'll pick out just a couple. Obviously, To All the Boys I Loved Before. If you haven't read that, have you been living under a rock these past few years? By Jenny Han, obviously the queen, the icon herself. To All the Boys I've Loved Before is the epitome of young adult. It's like this hopeless romanticness of it, you know? And I think that's very YA, and you should read it. I feel like I don't have to talk about it that much. I'm also gonna put in Counting Down with You. Karina and Ace have to pretend to fake date, I think, for Ace's parents or something. I kind of forgot. It's been a little while, but I do know that they fake date. I just don't remember in what situation. And I know that one of the bargaining points for him convincing her to fake date him is that he would buy all the books that she wanted. It's also Bad Boy, Good Girl. And yeah. And then Friends to Lovers, we have The Summer I Turned Pretty. Obviously one of the biggest TV shows of 2022. So Belly, Conrad, Jeremiah, it's a big love triangle. They've known each other since they were little because their moms are best friends and they always go to their summer house together. And it's a coming of age story, falling in love and finding yourself, and it's really good and you should read it. We have The Cheat Sheet. Bree and Nathan have been friends since high school, but then they lost touch and they got back in touch. And Bree is a ballerina, Nate plays in the NFL, and it's just about them being in love with each other for forever, but never having the courage to talk about it with one another, and then finally they do, and it's great. So that is my guide to young adult romance. Absolutely not at all comprehensive, and obviously there are so many other young adult romance books that I have yet to read that are probably on my TBR or that I just don't know of. The purpose of this video was just to get you to maybe branch out into young adult, because it is not just for kids. It's a really, really great genre, and it's so underrated and overlooked. And just take a chance, choose any of these books that I mentioned, and I promise you, you won't regret it. It's so amazing, especially for romance. Read young adult is the moral of the story. If you have any YA romance recommendations, please let me know. I would love to hear them and read them, and maybe we can talk about it in another video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe and follow my Instagram and TikTok at Kayla Reads, and I'll see you guys next time.